Okay, so good morning everybody. Today what we're going to do is we're going to use the work of McKeena and we're going to make a collage which also uses wet media like paint, dye and shellac, dry media as well like pencils and stuff like that, and we're going to make an artwork which is landscape format that has a kind of aged wabi-sabi kind of feel or look to it. And this is an experimental work so that you learn this kind of style and then you can use it more, maybe even on board 2. So board 1 is kind of quite experimental. We're doing drawings, paintings, collages, printmaking, and then board 2 you're going to be able to have a lot more choice about which techniques suit your idea. Okay, one of the things that you can do is jump on Google and just find old bits of text from like old newspapers. So we're referencing the past, we're referencing our grandparents and stuff like that. So I found this notice about military service in 1916, and so the reserve consists of men of less than 20, of no less than 20 and under 46 years. So what they started to do was force people to join the army, and you didn't have a choice, you had to go and fight if you were between the age of 20 and 46. So that's something that doesn't happen now, so we're really lucky, but back in the day some people had to go to war and it was really pretty difficult. And I'm sure that all of us have ancestors who've been pushed into fighting, and it's quite a good thing to think about and to reflect on just how lucky we are that we live in a country where that's not happening and people are not forced to go into a situation where they have to kill other people. So thinking about the past is a really important way of learning to appreciate what we have right now. Now you've probably noticed that I just used a really large amount of PVA glue. That's because I'm a big fan. Okay, PVA glue is awesome because it dries clear and it's really strong. It's been developed to actually glue houses together. It's actually a very strong surface. So you can see I'm working on the brown paper, and I might use a mixture of brown and white. So for this particular work you might want to take a brown and a white and kind of join them together. You can see in these examples there's quite a lot of sort of like layers of paper layering up on each other, almost as if you're sort of looking at like a collection of old papers. So I'm just going to add in a bit of torn paper, but I'm going to sort of offset it with this one. And it's getting a little bit grubby and dirty, but that's probably okay. That's kind of part of the look. Okay, and then I'm also going to add in some textures of wood grain as well. I'm just going to layer that in there as well. All these little bits and pieces you can keep in your visual diary because it's quite cool to like use them again as you kind of go on. If you were looking carefully, you probably noticed that I crumpled up that bit of paper, and that's another way to kind of age it. And in a minute I'm going to show you another sort of thing. I might crumple this one up too actually. It'll just make it look older and more vintage. Okay, pop that on there. And now I'm going to add a bit of brown dye. I'm doing a lot of this with my hands, kind of deliberately getting sort of stuck in there and making it look a bit kind of grubby and old and kind of messed up. I might even have a go at tearing a little bit of the side of this as well. Okay, and then I can incorporate this piece of paper into this work as well, like that. Now I've got this lovely picture of, I'm going to pretend these are my grandparents, they're not, but I'm just pretending, and I'm just going to add them in there somewhere. Might just kind of hold on to them until I'm really sure where I want them to be. And you can see that one thing I did was I actually printed printed them out twice and just changed the scale. So if you're going to do some printing of something that could be useful, it's so easy, isn't it, just to grab the corner, stretch it and print it out more than once, you know, print out some different sizes. That can be quite good too. Now I also found this bit of old-fashioned wallpaper with a couple of birds on it, and I'm kind of thinking of that sort of Chinese feng shui idea of you know, like how birds pair up for life, and if you have a couple of birds in your house, it's like good luck and harmony for the relationship. I don't know if you guys know about that, but I quite like that idea, so I might incorporate that in there as well, just as a sort of symbol of marriage and togetherness. Sometimes one thing that I think is really lovely is when families celebrate wedding anniversaries. Like, you know, I think in a lot of relationships the couple celebrate it, like they might go on a date night or something special, but it's really lovely also for the children, you know, to celebrate a marriage, you know, celebration, and especially when people get very old and they've been married for like 60 years, and you know, that's quite an achievement, isn't it, to still stick by someone for 60 whole years. So this artwork's a little bit of a little celebration, I suppose, of marriage, and just thinking about all of the things that our ancestors went through, you know, like they went through wars and they went through poverty, and they survived all of that stuff, and the proof that they survived is that we're here, right? We're here living and thriving in Auckland, New Zealand, a lot of it because of the hard work of our ancestors. So I'm going to pop them in there. You can see I'm going to need to chop that off, or maybe I won't. Maybe I won't chop that off. Maybe I'll let it just hang out there because I've got a funny edge here. I could have a little bit of a funny edge here. So that's all just been a little quick collage. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to add some shellac just to make it look even a little bit older. So we've got shellac over here, and it's been freshly made up because we knew we were going to be using it. And with the shellac, it's quite nice just to use it sort of as a varnish. Sometimes people get a bit carried away with using it to make drips, and it does make kind of good drips, but I'd encourage you to sort of use it more as a varnish, just to make things shiny and also to make things a little bit more golden. And you can experiment with how much shellac goes on, you know, to see how that goes for you. Once you've got to this point, I think you probably would need to let it dry. You can see the shellac's kind of oozing across there a little bit. I might need to just add a bit more. So after this stage, I would then be thinking about maybe scraping areas with white paint. So this bit's a bit lumpy, so if I got some white paint, I might just do it now just to sort of demonstrate what I'm talking about. And I need a little scraper, which I'm going to turn this into. Okay, so I'm just making that area look even more like an old bit of building or something. A little bit of text is coming through from behind. Also, what the white paint will do is it'll make the surface a bit stronger, because when it dries it forms like a plasticky surface. So if you want your paper to be a little bit more durable, then using some white paint will help with that. Now once this is dry, I'm going to be able to draw into it and add in maybe some other little bits of text, like for example maybe the date that my grandparents got married or something like that. Okay, so that is kind of what we're going to do next. Okay.